And we are back here in House Fieldhouse. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Matt Mormon and Noel Williams on the call for this meet between the Redhawks and Pennsylvania. Right now, Penn is on the bars. Right now, we'll get your call on all those scores here in just a second. Like I said, we had some audio issues at the start of the meet.
Well, so far on the bars, I feel like Penn State's been doing a pretty well job. As you can see, just a great dismount right there. She had a little bit of balance issues there, but I think kind of what we call the Matt was back a little bit, but she got her balance right in time.
Now we're going to head back over to the Redhawks side of thing. Alana Fisher now going to be on the vault for the Redhawks. She will be an all-around competitor today. She'll be competing in all 4 events. She's been doing that for the past couple of meets now. After starting the season with only 3 out of the 4. We'll see how she does right here on the vault.
Well, that was a great dismount. I think also in the other events she does well. I think she's definitely one of the top stall players for SEMO. Well, right next to Annika Ziska.
Absolutely, yeah. Alana Fisher, really one of the players for the Redhawks, has really come on strong in recent weeks for Southeast. And, like you said, she had a very solid move there. I think it was a very simple maneuver on the vault. She didn't try to do too much, didn't try to be too flashy with it. Just a very nice, clean up and over. We're going to take another look back at it here. This is Alana Fisher. And like I said, you see right here, that first hit there, has a little bit of flair at the beginning of it. Once she gets over the top, just one nice little backflip, and she lands completely clean. And Noel, last time the Redhawks had a home meet, we saw Southeast really struggle with their landings on the vault. We had, I believe it was 3 of them fall down, and Fisher was one of the ones that stayed on her feet, but she had a little bit of a skip on the back end, so the Redhawks definitely looked at kind of fixing that issue a little bit.
I think definitely within the last 2 weeks, they've definitely gotten better with it. You could see the reaction on her face, and she was just overjoyed.
And we are back over on the bars now. Rose Hoffman for Pennsylvania. We'll catch up on a couple of scores real quick for Penn. Libby Garfoot led things off on the bars. She scored a 9.700, and Caroline Mitch was second for Pennsylvania, and she scored a 9.050.
For the Redhawks, Anna Kaczynska.
And last up is Annika Ziska for SEMO. She's definitely one of their strongest players, so I'm definitely predicting it's going to be a great dismount. Wasn't as expected, but she's going to get back up.
Yeah, that's a rough one for Kaczynska. She actually set a career high her last time out all around when the Redhawks were in a try meet just a couple weeks ago with a 38.875. I think with a dismount like that, you're probably not going to think that number. It'll be interesting to see Kaczynska, one of the most consistent performers for the Redhawks. We'll see if she can kind of recover off of that. The home meets I've seen so far this season, I feel like she really hit the vault well and started well and built off that momentum. A fall like that, is going to bring that score down for sure. We'll see if you can kind of rebound from that and continue to make a case for the all-around title like we've seen before.
Well, in a sport like gymnastics, I feel like you kind of have to just get up and go. And definitely in an event like the vault too, the dismount kind of is what shakes your the score you get. So I feel like she just has to get up and keep going and do better in other events.
Certainly, yeah, I completely agree. You kind of got to shake off and move on. I believe on that monitor you can kind of see in the background there, I'm seeing a 9.100. That is unofficial. We'll get that official number here in just a second. Actually, now I can't confirm that. A 9.100 for Annika Ziska as Jordan Menino will get started on the bars now for Pennsylvania. We're going to go ahead and catch you up on those SEMO scores that we missed in the early going. Alana Fisher leads the way with a 9.400, followed by Michael Sanders with a 9.375, then Maya Tran with a 9.325, and lastly is Kaczynska. So Noel still managed to squeak out a 9.100 on that vault where she fell down. We'll see how Mackenzie Slee does here. Gabrielle Adams does here in just a second for the Redhawks. But how big is it to kind of be able to pull out a 9.1 when you didn't have your best effort?
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely going to hurt her score. I mean, she averages a 9.656. Her high is a 9.7. But I feel like if Gabby gets a great land, as she did, that was a great landing. So I feel like it'll definitely help SEMO.
Absolutely, yeah. Really be able to pick up your pace after one of your leaders, one of your best competitors does kind of falter there and have a lower score for her end. Look, pick up that slack and be able to just move on with it. That's huge, not to linger too much on that pass. As we're going to head back over to the bars now, Pennsylvania. This,
I believe it's Caroline Moore.
I believe it was Kara Mills who I heard over the intercom. We'll see in one moment, get that confirmed. Yeah, Tara Mills.
Tara Mills.
For Pennsylvania. Those nice moves there, manages to hang on. Almost, I thought, lost her grip for just a moment. Moves back over to the other bar, and Noelle, here comes the ending, I believe.
Great landing. I feel like they all do great on the bars for Penn State. I feel like, as you can see, all the other people that's won on the bars so far for Penn State, they kind of had an unsteady landing, kind of falling backwards a little bit, but they catch their balance really quick.
Yeah, her season high is only a 9.275. I think there's a very real chance that she could possibly build on that right there. And we're going to head back over to the vault now. Now it's Mackenzie Slee wrapping things up on the vault for the Redhawks. And Slee goes up and over, a big bounce backward on the landing, but she stayed on her feet. So Slee rounded it out for the Redhawks on the vault. Now we will have one exhibition competitor. This one will not count towards the scores for Pennsylvania. This is Kelly Flavin. Going to give an exhibition run here now on the bars as we are through one rotation each way. A couple more scores to update you on so far. Gabrielle Adams leading the way now for the Redhawks with a 9.700 on the vault. We're going to take a look back at a couple of these plays here in just a second. Jordan Menino was the leading scorer for Pennsylvania on the bars. She had a 9.775, leading the way for Penn. Sarah Mills, who we saw finish things out there for Pennsylvania, she scored a 9.625.
Well, one thing I can say is just me I was an athlete in high school. I don't play now. But gymnasts, man, they are in shape.
Oh, absolutely. And yet they're very diverse athletes.
Yes.
They have many, many different skills we'll be seeing on display here tonight. You have the coordination and really the courage to do the bars. You have to have the balance, obviously, on the balance beam. It's in the name. The vault, you really have to have speed running down the runway on your
core muscle, too.
Core muscle, absolutely. And really the strength to be able to kind of lift yourself off that vault and get enough height. A lot of it goes a lot of different things.
And I can imagine spinning on the bars and have to land kind of a light feat, because if you land too hard, I'm pretty sure that could be hurtful to the body.
Well, I think that's a little bit of what happened on that last vault for Mackenzie Slee that we saw, where she did have a little bit of a heavy foot coming down. She did have kind of a big bounce. I think she's a little bit heavy on the bottom end as she landed with too much velocity and kind of bounced herself backwards. Almost lost her balance, but that amazing bounce these gymnasts have. You can keep yourself upright through it.
Definitely, I think having light landing, light feet is definitely the key to having a strong dismount.
Absolutely. I went across 3 different events too. All of them except for the floor, you're going to be landing in some capacity. And that's why a lot of times you see these gymnasts kind of suffer some lower body injuries. Obviously, Lindsay Bates right now for the Redhawks, she's still on crutches. That's missed basically the entire season. I don't know how that injury happened exactly, but I imagine just wear and tear sometimes can kind of cause those injuries to the lower body, because you do have a lot of landings, a lot of jumps, and things like that. There's a lot of torque on the lower body. As we kind of await the 2 teams to switch sides here, we do await for the official final scores on both those 2 sides. We do a 46.900 for the Redhawks on the vault, a 47.600 for Pennsylvania on the bars. And well, for the Red Hawks, that 46.9, that falls a little bit towards the lower spectrum of their vault so far this season. You know, they had a 46.950 way back on January 25th when they faced off with Illinois State, and then they're also at 46 again when they took on Northern Illinois. But these past three meets, the Red Hawks have been very good on the vault, so a little bit of disappointment there for the Red Hawks side of things. And now they have to head into probably their toughest, the event they struggle with the most in the bars. And we're going to take a quick look back now at a couple of the top scorers. Here is Gabrielle Adams on the ball. Like I said, she scored 9.700, and you saw the height she got there.
Yeah, that spin was amazing.
But like we were kind of saying, as the Red Hawks prepare to go onto the bars, this isn't something that they excel at all. You know, this is definitely one of their more weaker points out of the four. And when you already didn't score as well as you would like on the ball, how hard is it then to turn around to face off with an apparatus that you're not great at? You know, you have to go onto the bars now. You know it's kind of one of your weaknesses. You get some of the best on the ball. How do you kind of build that mental toughness and take over that next obstacle?
Well, I think you can only build on what you're good at. I mean, you can only do your best. I feel like in the other events that they know that they're strong in, they have to build off that. I feel like there's not much room for error you can have, but you just have to do your best. Put the fundamentals to work.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't make mistakes. I agree with that one completely. The fundamentals, you don't have to be super flashy. As we're going to see some flash right here as we look back at the ending of some of the Pennsylvania ladies on the bars. That was the leading scorer there, Jordan Menino. She scored 9.775, the highest score we have seen so far tonight, through one rotation each way. But like I said, I think kind of just stick to the fundamentals. Don't try to do too much. Just, don't fall off the bars. Get through some pretty basic routines here and see where your scores let them be where they may, Get through with some positivity. That's definitely something to watch for the Red Hawks as they head on over to the bars. So on the Pennsylvania side of things, Noel, the Quakers will be headed on over to the vault. They averaged 47.825 on that. That's actually their lowest out of the four rotations that we're going to see here tonight. And a 47.825 is still a very strong number for the Quakers. So we'll see if they continue to improve on that. And like I said, this is an all-around gymnastics team that the Red Hawks are taking on tonight. So we will see how that shakes out here in just a little over a minute until action begins once again.
Well, I think for Penn, I think that was a good start compared to SEMO. But we said the bars was their weakest strength, but I think they did pretty well.
Well, that's what the Red Hawks' weakest is the bars. For Pennsylvania, it's actually their second, but it's right there with the vault. Both these two early ones are kind of their weaker standpoints. They averaged a 47.882, so they fell just barely behind that average by just 0.2 points. So they basically hit that mark that they're striving for every time out.
Well, since SEMO didn't do as successful on the ball as they wished, this might be advantage for SEMO, being that they know now we know that this is UPenn's weak point.
Sure. That definitely could be the case. As you kind of know that, hey, you got through one of something that Pennsylvania's pretty good at, and now they have to go to something that they're weakest at as well. And so you say, hey, this is our weakest, but this is also their disadvantage too. So maybe it's not as much of a holy crawl out. I think you look at the season overall numbers. Obviously, the Red Hawks season average is far lower on the bars than it is for Pennsylvania on the vault. But just that mentality of knowing, hey, we still have a chance of this thing, definitely factors in as Kendra Bennett is on the bars for the Red Hawks first. I believe this is the official one. No, it is not. Never mind. We're still waiting just a couple more seconds here before we get started. We're going to go ahead and adjust the bars one last time here before we get going. You see the Red Hawks assistant coach over there on the side of the monitor there. talking to the team, getting them all psyched up right before they have to get ready to go.
I think also after that event in the vault, I think they kind of need some encouraging words. I mean, it wasn't a bad event. I think they just need to get them pumped up, know they're going to do well.
Definitely, get yourself a little bit refocused, and that's the one thing about gymnastics is that every time out, you have a long break between your events when you're going. You know, you go for the vault, and then if you're an individual competitor, then you wait a while, potentially. You know, sometimes you don't even go on the next thing as the Pennsylvania, the Quakers continue to get set on the vault.
That was a great landing. You can see the expression all their teammates and her coaches. She knows she did pretty well.
That was Lauren Jost on the vault for Pennsylvania. As Kendra Bennett now getting set to go onto the bars for the Red Hawks.
Well, I think she's going to do pretty well. I mean, she has a season high of 9.525, which, I mean, is pretty up there for her team. So I think she's going to be definitely an advantage here at the bars.
Definitely. Bennett is one of the stronger competitors on the bars for the Red Hawks this season. And so, therefore, it's probably a good idea to have her leading off. You know, set the tone early, get off to a good start if you're the Red Hawks on something that you know you kind of struggle with. We saw her kind of struggle to put herself back up there for Bennett. As she continues to go on the bar. Now for the Red Hawks, there is that dismount, a very clean landing.
She did great. I think the whole event was definitely smooth as she went through a great dismount. So I think she's definitely going to get a good score.
Yeah, like I said, I only noticed the one small little part. There was a little bit of a pause, pulling herself up on the bar. That might take off a couple hits or two, but nothing too crazy. As now Tara Mills will be on the vault for the Quakers. And that was Tara Mills for Pennsylvania on the vault. She was also in the parallel bars, the uneven parallel bars earlier, where she scored a 9.625. We're awaiting Kendra Bennett's score from earlier on the bars. She was up first for the Red Hawks. Next up will be Anna Kaziska. And we'll see how Kaziska does bouncing back from earlier. We're taking another look back here at Mills on the vault. The very straight line flips right over.
Seem to be adjusting the bars again.
Not quite sure what the delay is at the moment. There's some a little bit of a conference going on at that scores table right there behind the bars as we await Anna Kaziska over there getting ready still for the Red Hawks. There you can see the lineup for the Red Hawks, the full lineup. Andrea Benek already went on the bars for the Red Hawks. Anna Kaziska, who we're waiting on right now. Then it'll be Alana Fisher, followed by Michael Sanders, Mackenzie Slee, and Maya Tran will round things out for Southeast on the bars. So we still await that first score. I'm assuming that that's what the issue is right now. We have not yet gotten Kendra Bennett's score on the bars. We do have a couple scores for the Pennsylvania side of things to catch you up on the vault. Lauren Jost started off things on the vault. She scored a 9.625, followed by Tara Mills, who scored a 9.475 for the Quakers. Those are good for second and third overall right now on the vault. Gabrielle Adams, still your leader, with a 9.700.
Well, it looks like Annika, this is definitely about to hit the bars. What do you expect? How well do you expect she's going to do here?
Well, for the team as a whole, like I said, the bars have kind of been a little bit of a struggle for Kaziska. She averages a 9.256 on the season, and her season high is a 9.725. She's been performing very well on the bars as of late. Like I said, we haven't really seen her struggle on the vault that much, though. So you hope if you're the Red Hawks that she does shake that off and continues to perform well on the bars as she's been doing. I'm going to go ahead and say she finishes just above her average, just, you know, a tick or two above that. I'm going to say like 9.4 range. Anything can happen though when you're up there, that's for sure.
Well, I feel like looking at numbers, she's definitely going to do well. She just needs to continue what she always does.
And it looks like an 8.800 for Kendra Bennett for the Red Hawks on the bars. So Kaziska hops on the bars and starts swinging.
That was definitely a great comeback from her performance on the ball.
Definitely. You can see the hype that she's got right now with her teammates. Very excited about how that round went for the freshman. Back on over to the vault where will be Nicole Swirlis for Pennsylvania.
Oh, there you saw. She definitely lost balance. She fell forward a little bit there.
Yeah, and interestingly enough for her, she did not compete on the vault last time out for Pennsylvania, so maybe just a little bit of rust there on the competition end of things. Last time out, she scored a 9.075, and she missed the Ivy Classics on the vault. She did compete in the other two other events, on that night, so she was not injured. It was just kind of a coach's decision, I would assume, to take her out of the vault on that one. We'll see what her score ends up being. Back over to the Red Hawks now, Alana Fisher going to be bouncing the bars shortly.
Another strong player for SEMO. I don't think the prediction probably going to do as well as Anna did.
Well, I believe right now there's a technical issue with the Anna Kaziska score. Right now it's telling us a 0.970. I'm going to assume that that's not right. So I'm going to guess it's a 9.700. I'm going to guess they missed on the decimal point there. We'll get that sorted out momentarily, I'm sure. As Fisher with a great move there. You heard the crowd pop. Fisher averaging a 9.213. Her season high, a 9.500.
That was great.
Very good dismount. And Fisher, I noticed she very much was more flat during the flips off of the bars at the end. I feel like a lot of times you see, I suppose Kaziska kind of almost makes like, not necessarily a ball, but kind of curls a little bit more. I felt like Fisher was very flat throughout, which really, if you time that perfect, you're seeing with the rotation, you can land perfectly even. I think Fisher really nailed that timing of that one.
Even with her flips when she's on the bar, she's actually very quick with it and just very smooth.
Yeah, definitely. Smooth is a good way to describe it. We do have a consistent score fixed. It is a 9.700 as Valerie Rube goes on the vault. She's hyped about that one as well. High fives all around for Pennsylvania. Michael Sanders will be next for the Red Hawks here in just a bit. We're going to update you on a couple scores first. Nicole Swirlis scored a 9.400, tying her for fourth place on the vault. That was the previous competitor for the Quakers. Awaiting a couple scores here on the bar still. I'm sorry, right now we do have Alana Fisher. She scored a 9.675. So just barely behind her teammate Kaziska. The leader on the bars is still Jordan Menino as Michael Sanders now starts on the bars.
That was great. I think overall for SEMO, besides Kendra Bennett, I think they're doing pretty well for the bars to be one of their weakest events.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like we kind of talked about before they were on the bars, a very safe approach that time on the bars from the Red Hawks. especially that dismount is very simple. Just one flip and get down, be safe, don't mess it up. And that was definitely what they did as Rose Hoffman, unable to land her backside of the vault there, takes a bit of a tumble there. We'll see what the score is on that in a bit.
Yeah, it looks like there on her landing, it just kind of doesn't work with good timing and good position, landed more on her knees.
Yeah, and like we said, it takes a lot of different things into account on that vault. You have the speed running in, the power on the jump and the lift, and the coordination, the balance to land on your feet on the other side. I know I couldn't do it.
I would get dizzy.
There's a lot of different factors. It's kind of hard sometimes to diagnose what goes wrong when you see somebody fall down like that. And we do have one more score to update you on the vault. Valerie Rube scored a 9.625, tying her teammate Lauren Jost on the vault for second. Still behind Gabrielle Adams, so the Redhawks holding one title and the Quakers holding the other. And we're about halfway through the second round. Mackenzie Slee going to be next on the bars for the Redhawks. Slee's had a little bit of a rough go of it. Like I said, this is not the Redhawks' best rotation. She only averages a 8.407 on the season on the bars. The season high of 8.725. Definitely going to improve off those numbers.
So compared to also the other meets, this is definitely an event that she struggled in. Usually either she slips her hand or just not a strong landing.
Right there, she, like I said, loses her grip a little bit. She was able to kind of just almost like, admit that she had a mistake there and just take the fall, land on her feet, not try to do too much more and have a worse ending. Risk potential injury, quite frankly, on those if you don't have your grip right and try to do a flip anyway. That's how she loses her hands once again. Slee gonna step off for a moment, take a moment away, brush up and get a little bit of a spray down, gonna grab some powder, and she's gonna try it again here.
I mean, she does a great job at just getting right back and recovering, getting right back on the bars.
Michael Sanders, who went just before this, scored an 8.800 on the bars. Now Slee building up a little bit of momentum. We really never got to see her kind of get things going. She kind of had a couple stumbles early on. And, there she got a couple moves going and then a nice dismount on the back end. So she probably did salvage at least a semi-decent score on the back end of things there. Now Sydney Creyes on the vault for the Quakers.
That was a great landing compared to the last person for UPenn.
Oh, for sure.
She had a very not successful landing, but that was definitely great.
Yeah, and it was very much a clean yet flashy, and that's a really tough balance to hit. You try doing a lot, but you do it well. Sometimes talent just wins out. And speaking of the Quaker before her, Rose Hoffman scores in a 9.125 on the vault. Just before that, Craze was the last competitor on the vault for the night. We're going to head back over to the bars now, where Maya Tran will be the final competitor on the bars. Tran averaging an 8.106, so not a great average score. However, her season high is a 9.375, so definitely has the potential to do very well. We'll see if she can get a little bit more consistency on the bars. And that's the thing that, a young team's really going to struggle with. It's a first-year head coach in Ashley Lawrence. It's going to be a real struggle at times to get that consistency.
Like you said, I think, like you said before, that they're just going to grow. They still have, about 2 years of most of their players on the team. So I think right next year, they're definitely going to be a stronger team than they were this year.
That was actually Lawson, the Red Hawks head coach. And yeah, like I said, a lot of young players that she missed on the dismount, but other than that, it was very good. Like you said, Tran has the potential on the bar. She really had a great round there, except for the ending. And sometimes that's what they remember the most.
Yeah, in the beginning a little bit, you can tell she kind of lost balance. Lost balance trying to spin, and she kind of picked that up. It wasn't a successful dismount, but she got back right up.
That's what you want to see, wrapping up the bars for the Red Hawks there as we await a couple more scores to come on in. We do have Mackenzie Slee at an 8.400 for the Red Hawks. So now we're just waiting on Maya Tran's score on the southeast side of things for Pennsylvania. Sydney Craig's score is in, and it is the leader, the new leader on the vault. Sydney Craig takes the event title with a 9.725 on the final participant on the vault, sniping it from Gabrielle Adams.
Well, like you said, like talent sometimes just shows, like you said, it was very flashy and got a clean finish. I think it just shows her skill set also, that she's been doing this for a while now. It's working for her.
So now we are waiting for a little bit of a switch over now as we move past the bars and past the vault. A little bit of a halftime, if you will, as we're switch things over here to the beam and the floor. The Red Hawks will be on the beam first, while Pennsylvania will go over to the floor first. And this is kind of the area where both teams step it up a little bit on their season averages, at least for the year. The Red Hawks, their two best events are, I would argue, the floor and the beam. Floor and the beam. The Red Hawks season high on the floor is their best score out of anything this season at 48.425. The upside is there. Their average is a little bit lower than that at 46.984. So we'll see how that goes for the Red Hawks a little later. First, though, they will be on the beam, where they average a 47.066. So Noel, when you get through kind of your two events that are a little bit of a struggle for you, and they definitely didn't go your way. But hey, now you're on your strength. You talk about in other sports sometimes being a second half team. Gymnastics is a little bit different because of the structure of it. Kind of lends the Red Hawks to being a second half team. It kind of puts you in that advantage when you get to the back half of things. Now I will say for Pennsylvania, their two best events are also still yet to come. The beam and the floor are their best events, as we'll take a look at that lineup for the Quakers on the floor. Darcy Matsuda will start things off, followed by Nicole Swirlbus, then Jordan Menino, Sydney Craze, Valerie Rube, and Darby Nelson will round things out for Pennsylvania on the floor. But Noel, as we're kind of saying, in that second half, kind of a chance to build off of some of the shortcomings from the first half because of the structure, because it allows you to. You get to play to your strengths now.
Well, I agree with what you said. Now they definitely can, I feel like they should definitely be more joyous, be more comfortable on the, during the events, so that they're going to be stronger. But being that also, that Penn is also approaching their two best events, so they have to step it up.
Absolutely, and that group for the Red Hawks that will have to step up on the beam, leading off will be Alana Fisher, followed by Michael Sanders, then Allison Bell, Gabrielle Adams, Mackenzie Slee, and finish things off will be Anna Kaziska for the Red Hawks. As we continue to wait this nice little break in between the events here, between the Red Hawks and the Quakers, give us a chance to kind of look at the overall team scores at the moment for the Red Hawks. Right now, they do trail. They have 92.525 on the event so far, a 45.625 on the bars. We're going to take this time also to take a look back at the action we've already seen. Right there was the leading scorer on the vault for Pennsylvania, Sydney Krez. Like we said, she was the leading scorer across the entire event, beating out Gabrielle Adams by just 0.025 points right there at the very end.
Well, I don't know if you mentioned this earlier in this meet, but we do know that for SEMO, this is their coach's first year here at Southeast, whereas for the UPenn, their coach has been there for, what, 6 years now? Or since 2006, actually. Since 2006. So I think that she's built a history there at UPenn. She knows what her players can, the skill set that they bring. She knows what they can do. So I think that definitely does give them an upper hand compared to SEMO.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that experience factor, you can see it between the two teams. John Caroli's team has won 2 championships of their conference. Obviously, Ashley Lawson hasn't won any championships for the conference. She hasn't been to a conference championship yet. That comes later on this season for the first time. Now, she was a gymnast for the Redhawks. She was very successful as a gymnast for the Redhawks. But from a coaching standpoint, she doesn't have that experience. Like you said, it's a very young team. A couple of building blocks, really, Fisher and Kaziska, and really Lindsay Bates as well, who's not playing this season due to injury. Those are a few pieces that you missed out on as we take a look back here now at Kaziska. Like we said, one of those building blocks for the Redhawks, really nailed it on the bars there. And was the leading scorer for the Redhawks on the bars, but not leading scorer overall. That goes to Jordan Menino, who had a 9.775. But yeah, as you say, I mean, it's a young team with a young head coach. They're learning. The wins aren't there yet. They'll get there eventually, you would imagine, with a young team. That's always going to kind of be the case with a first-year head coach as well.
Yeah, that definitely gives them a chance to grow with the coach. I feel like that's how strong teams are usually built. If anything, it's basketball, volleyball, NBA, MLB.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You see that plenty of times where, a team full of freshmen and sophomores, they don't quite click right away. It's those big programs, sure, right? Kentucky basketball is the one everybody's probably yelling at me right now about, where they'll throw out 5 freshmen starting lineup and win a national championship. But
people also forget they played also, in AAU and stuff, so they also do have history.
Of course, but I mean, it's kind of one of those things though where those big programs can get away with that versus, your smaller schools, for example, the Midwest Independent Conference the Redhawks are in, you're going to have these same players for 3 or 4 years a lot of times. Sometimes due to medical situations, they'll have to retire or, just come off of a couple of events, but overall, you're going to keep them for the entirety of their career. And so kind of building that chemistry and improving as you go through 4 years, that's going to help out. And Lawson's got that opportunity to grow as a coach with those players. I think you look at Kaziska as being one of the big ones. She's a freshman during Lawson's freshman year as a coach. So that's definitely a pairing that can grow together and really gain that experience together, some of the highs, some of the lows, and really battle through. As we are just about ready for the floor and the vault to begin.
To begin the next round, the meeting. For Southeast Missouri State, Alana Fisher.
So Alana Fisher getting set to go on the beam now for the Redhawks. She will start things out for Southeast. She averages 9.391 on the beam. Like I said, the Redhawks have some talent on the beam for sure, and Fisher is no exception. A season high of 9.650 on the year.
That was definitely great balance there. There in that spin, she does. She lost a little balance, fell off the beam there. But I think she can get the hop right back up.
Fisher did struggle a little bit last time on the beam as well, an 8.950 her last time out in a tri-meet with Ball State and Illinois State. So maybe she lost a little bit of that mojo that she had here a couple weeks ago against UIC on the beam.
That was a great landing there. I think she ended the performance in a great dismount. I think during it, she definitely lost her balance. And when she spin or during the flip, so that's definitely going to hinder her.
Yeah, that's certainly not quite the round you're looking for if you're Fisher. But like I said, she did recover, she did rebound, managed to get some stuff out of it. We're going to head over to the floor now, and Darcy Matsuda. And that was Darcy Matsuda on the floor for the Pennsylvania Quakers. And Noel, one thing, I think with the Red Hawks, you see a lot more flips, a lot more jumping around a little bit on the floor. I feel like that one had a lot more of the technical maneuvers on there, a little bit less of the high-flying, fast pacing we're going to see out of the Red Hawks a little bit later. I wonder if it'll be indicative of the Pennsylvania team as a whole on the floor. That's one thing we can still watch for, as Michael Sanders is now on the beam for the Red Hawks.
Well, that's when she was on the floor. She only had really two strong flips, so she only had two flips. But the choreography was definitely good. I think the last flip there she had there was definitely much more clean than the first one.
I agree. I mean, yeah, like you said, only about two, maybe three, and she executed them, though. When you do them, make them count. And she definitely did that. And Sanders making the beam count. She averages a 9.325 on the season high of a 9.700. Probably her strongest out of the four events at the dismount there. Lose their footing, just a little bit of the overrun, but still very happy with that round.
I mean, so far for the beam. Before her, Alana didn't have the great performance, so I think it was definitely a great follow-up for SEMO.
Yeah, we do have Fisher's score in an 8.950. Certainly not what you would be expecting heading into it out of Fisher, but Sanders really resetting that tone for the Red Hawks there with a nice go of it on the bar, or on the beam rather. As Nicole Swerbelis is now on the floor for Pennsylvania. That was Nicole Swerbelis on the floor for the Quakers. And a couple of missteps in there, I would say, especially towards the end on that final landing. Overall, pretty strong showing. And sometimes on the floor, you can kind of make up for some of those mistakes just by moving on to your next thing.
Yeah, it was definitely
you very much have control of what you do.
There was definitely a lot of graceful choreography within her routine. You can see that her teammates on the side kind of memorizing what it is, dancing with her.
That's always one of my favorite things about the floor. You get the teammates very much involved, and we're going to see with the Red Hawks later on. You kind of get the entire crowd going. It's really the one audience participation is supported when it comes to the floor a little bit more. We are back over on the beam though with Allison Bell for the Red Hawks. We do have a score of Michael Sanders, a 9.550 for the Redhawks on the beam just before this. So definitely a good rebound there for the Redhawks, with Sanders resetting that tone after sort of a subpar round from Alana Fisher.
And that there was a great dismount. Coming off the side, she didn't, no unbalance, no fall or anything.
And a little bit of a, unorthodox dismount. Like I said, kind of going off to the sides there. I feel like a lot of times you see the runs across the beam and then launching yourself and then going as high as you can, almost making it like a vaulted away. Versus that one was much more where a flat-footed, close hop off, but she managed to get a corkscrew in there without hitting her head. That's impressive to me. And now Jordan Medino is on the floor for the Quakers. That was Jordan Menino on the floor for the Quakers. We don't have any scores yet from the floor. A little bit of a backup on those. We'll get those to you as we get them. Gabrielle Adams now on the beam for the Redhawks. We do have Allison Bell scoring, a new leader for the Redhawks, a 9.600. She was the last one on the beam for the Redhawks.
Well, now they have Gabby Adams now in the beam. And just like Sanders, she's somebody that's really strong here in the beams for SEMO. It can definitely help them pick up the score.
Absolutely. She averages a 9.036, but her season high, a 9.625. Definitely looking for a good round out of Adams here. Adams almost touches the beam with her hand on that cartwheel. Backwards dismount finishes it out for Gabrielle Adams. So we will have her score in a little bit, but we're going to go back over to the floor now. Sydney Craze up next for the Quakers.
Was anything like her performance from the ball? I'm definitely expecting something great.
Yeah, absolutely. She's a leader, or she was the leader on the ball with a 9.725, taking the event title. There you start using that leaping ability, almost making it like the ball. Running across, just going as high as you can, get as many flips in. Sydney Craze on the floor for Pennsylvania. And like I said earlier, yeah, kind of almost doing a little bit of a vault move there. You just run all the way across, jump as high as you can, do a bunch of flips. She kind of did that twice. She did it again there at the end.
Yeah,
so I guess if you're good at it, do it. Back over onto the beam now, Mackenzie Slee for Southeast. We do have Gabrielle Adams scoring, and it's another solid one with a 9.500 for Southeast. So 3 out of the 4 really scoring strong for the Redhawks on the balance beam. Slee averaging a 9.075, but her season high is a 9.625. And if the other Redhawks are anything to go off of, it's getting pretty close to that season high.
We can definitely say she's definitely more confident on the beam compared to when she's on the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. The confidence is a much bigger difference here. You can see she actually looks comfortable on the balance beam. As opposed to on those bars, she just never seems to be able to get things going.
See Rowdy back there cheering on Southeast.
The new look Rowdy, of course. And that was Mackenzie Slee, and you can tell she is very happy with how that round went for that rotation on the beam. And it was a little bit of relief there. You know, after a rough go of it on the bars, to kind of bounce back and have a big round there, it definitely helps the confidence. As now Valerie Rube will be on the floor for the Quakers. That was Valerie Rube on the floor for the Quakers. We do have a score update on the floor for Pennsylvania. Darcy Matsuda started things off on the floor. She scored a 9.650. The default leader at the moment with those scores for you once we get them. Now Anna Kaziska on the beam for the Redhawks. Like I said, one of the Redhawks leaders across the board, Noel. Her season high is a 9.875 on the beam.
Well, she is SEMO's leading but she has the highest score for SEMO at the bar. I think at the beginning of the event, she had a rocky start. And then she did better on the bars, and now she's on the beam.
And then she's on the floor. Another place she's very comfortable, so I think she's pretty well put that vault behind her at this point, as she continues to execute on the beam. And that was Anna Kaziska.
I think so far SEMO's done a pretty well job at the beam. I mean, with Alana, they had a pretty rocky start, but each person afterwards has done a great job.
Absolutely, I completely 100% agree. And Mackenzie Slee's score is in a tie for the lead at 9.600. And for Slee, that's a huge win after 2 rough goes of it earlier on in the night on the vault and the bar. She was actually the lowest scoring competitor on both of those events, so now she's tied for the lead on the 3rd. That's definitely a feel-good moment there for Slee, as Darby Nelson now on the floor for the Quakers. That was Darby Nelson on the floor for Pennsylvania. That will wrap it up on the floor. And that'll wrap it up for both these two teams on these current events. They're going to change things up. Nelson with a little bit of a rough lane at the end. You see her kind of limping off there. Not the greatest ending, but other than that, a pretty solid round, I would say. We will see how the scores all shake out. We'll try to get you a little bit more caught up here on the floor. Valerie Krug scored a 9.650 for Pennsylvania. We're still waiting on those other scores yet on the floor.
Well, Darcy Nelson, she did a pretty good job. Her choreography was pretty clean, pretty nice. The last dismount was not strong, but the other two, they were pretty well. They were pretty clean. You can tell there was a little bit of imbalance when she would land, but she would keep going.
Yeah, and a lot of times, like I said, especially the floor, you can kind of control your momentum a little bit better. Just keep going. You know, if you make a mistake, don't linger on it. Move on. You know, the other ones, if you make a mistake, you have to have a hard reset in a way. There, you know, as we're going to have an exhibition competitor on the floor now for Pennsylvania. But with the bounce beat, for example, if you fall off, that's a hard reset. There's no you can't just keep on going on the bounce beat when you're not on the bounce beat anymore.
Yeah, when you're stuck in your head, it's pretty hard to get out.
Yeah, on the bars, when you fall off the bars, you can't just keep on the bars, so you're not on the bars anymore. Versus the floor, if you have a little bit of a misstep, you're still on the floor. You can kind of just keep on going and work your way through it. And so I think that was definitely something we saw there from Nelson. I think it's something we saw earlier on with Swerveless for Pennsylvania as well.
I'm not sure what the weight is for. There we go.
I'm going to guess the music. Like I said, this is an exhibition competitor for Pennsylvania. This will not count towards their score. During this exhibition, we'll update you on a couple scores here. Darby Nelson's score is unofficially in. I believe there may have been a glitch, much like we saw earlier in the night with Kaziska. Right now, it is a 0.905. Again, I think that will change. My guess, my assumption is the decimal point's in the wrong spot there. I'm going to assume a 9.050 for Nelson. We'll have that official for you a little bit later on. Like we said, with Kaziska, sometimes these things happen with the technical difficulties a little bit. Speaking of Kaziska, though, we do have an update for her on the beam, where she is the new leader. The final Red Hawk to go takes the title for the moment, at least, with a 9.850. So just behind her career high for the freshman, the best score for the Red Hawks. A very good round for Southeast on that balance beam. Really just a solid go of it for Southeast across the board, except for Atlanta Fisher. He's a dismount right there for Kaziska. And she kind of knew there that, hey, I scored well. And now we head over to the floor for the Red Hawks, where that is, I would argue, again, Southeast's strongest or second strongest events on the night. They average only a 46.984, but their season high is the highest out of anything, the 48.425. So the upside is there, Noel, for the Red Hawks to have a big finish to the meet and really be able to, take some momentum forward into the next meet.
Well, thankfully, for SEMO, they did do pretty well on the beam. So if they go on the floor and they carry that back into there, they could get a victory. But however, for Penn, they did do well on the floor. You can tell that it's definitely one of their strong suits.
Oh yeah, we don't have the numbers yet, but we'll get them in a bit. They were good.
Yes.
As we take a look at that floor lineup for the Red Hawks, Maya Tran will go first, followed by Michael Sanders, then Allison Bell, Alana Fisher, Mackenzie Slee, and finally Anna Kaziska will finish things once again for the Red Hawks on the floor this time. And she has a knack of winning that floor title when she goes on last for the Red Hawks. We've seen that once or twice this season. As Pennsylvania continues to get set to go on the beam, we'll take a look at their lineup here. Lauren Jost will start things off. Then we'll have Darby Nelson, then Darcy Matsuda, Nicole Swerbelis, Natalie Yang, the first time we've seen her tonight, and Caroline Moore will round things out for Pennsylvania. So again, we don't have a good feel at the moment on the team scores. We do have a couple other individuals for Pennsylvania to give you now, where we do have Nicole Swerbelis to score a 9.550 for the Quakers. She was the second competitor, and so far, two 9.650s, one 9.550, and one 9.050. So three solid scores. Three stand above the rest. Very eerily similar to the Red Hawks on the beam there. But you have the one kind of below that, but the rest of the group really performing well.
I think it's SEMO. If they expect to have a better score than UPenn, they're going to have to be cleaner with their flips. Well, UPenn had a couple of times where they didn't land as successfully as they could. But for UPenn, if they go on the beam and they have straight balance through, if they don't, a smooth routine, then they can definitely take that as well.
Absolutely. That 9.850 is going to be hard to beat because this gets put up there. But you got to believe that Pennsylvania's got some of the talent to be able to take it away from her. We will see. And on the flip side of things, so far the scores we have, I would think that Kaziska has a very strong chance of taking that floor title. We do have the rest of the scores in now, and there are a couple of good ones here for Pennsylvania. Jordan Menino, she went third for Pennsylvania. She scored a 9.725. And Sydney Craze, who went right after her, scored the exact same number, a 9.725. So a pair of very strong scores rounding things out there for Pennsylvania on the floor. We'll get those team scores updated here momentarily for you. But a very strong showing, and like I said, an eerily similar showing between the two teams, between the floor and the beam, where kind of one competitor not quite so hot, but the rest of them really, really solid showing for everybody else across the board. And the team number for Pennsylvania, you see it up there, they do take the lead, 143.750. As a team on the floor specifically, they scored a 48.300 on the floor. That is right around their average. Like I said, they average a 48.260. So basically hit that average. They hit what you wanted to hit that benchmark. So very nice showing there for the Quakers. On the Red Hawks side of things, on the balance beam. They score right around their average with a 48.100, actually 0.3 below their average. I'm sorry, looking at the wrong team there. They're actually a full point over their average. The Red Hawks average of 47. They scored a 48.1.
Winning by a score of 12-4.
So Pennsylvania winning right now by 3.7-ish, give or take a little bit on those decimals there. But, you know, still a relatively close meet heading into the final rotation. The Red Hawks with a chance, and maybe more importantly for Southeast, a chance to just improve on their own scores across the board. If you take a look at a couple of the top performers here, you take a look at the Pennsylvania on the floor here. That is Jordan Menino. She was the high scorer, tied with her teammate Sydney Craze, as they prepare to be on the beam. Under a minute now until we will be starting going on the floor and the beam once again with the final rotations between the Red Hawks and the Quakers. We will await the start of the final rotation now. The time is up to warm up. Pennsylvania will be up first, it sounds like, on the beam. Does it take one last moment to get prepared in the nice little huddle? Get psyched up to finish out the meet.
Well, I don't know about you, but I definitely think they're probably going to do well on the beam. I mean, usually when it comes to sports, you can have a bad, you can have a great start. It's usually how you are in the middle, where you finish. I mean, they came off a pretty good routine on the floor for everybody that had a routine. So I think they're going to do pretty well.
Yeah, and you know, they've been very consistent this season on the beam. No score lower than a 47.675, and their last time out was their season best, the Ivy Classic. They scored a 49.000. That's very, very good. So definitely something to watch here on the beam for Pennsylvania. This is a great spot for them. We'll see how it shakes out here momentarily as Lauren Jost will start things off. Jost almost loses her mouse there, but a very nice save.
Right there with a clean landing. That was Lauren Jost on the balance beam. Her season high at 9.750 came 2 weeks ago, so we'll see if she can build off of that as we head on over to the floor now for Maya Tran, starting things off for the Red Hawks.
Tran, this is her first time this season participating on the floor. So we'll see how she does here, going first in the event. Now, she has competed before in the past. Her career high is a 9.475. But like I said, this is her first time this season, very late in the year, to be making her debut in an event.
Well, Maya Tran, she's somebody that usually that performs in the vault event. And like you said, when they're on the floor, when they're doing their flip, it's similar to the vault where they have kind of like a running start and they do a straight flip.
Yeah.
So that can definitely be an advantage for her.
There are definitely translatable skills there, for sure. Yeah, that speed running across and kind of that power of lifting yourself up. You don't have, you see it right there. You got a lot of height on that jump. You don't have something to push yourself off of, but you can kind of do some of those same skills and use them in a different way. She has competed on the beam once and the bars 4 times, but yeah, the vault every single meet. And, maybe a little bit of rust there at the very end. You imagine she's probably been practicing on the floor the entire season, but there's a different feel when you get into that competition. Any athlete can tell you can practice as much as you want to be a great practice player, but once you're in the meet, you have a gymnasium that's really pretty full like it is tonight. It is Greek night here, and sometimes you get all those eyes on you, and you get a little bit nervous, especially towards the end. You feel you're doing pretty well, and then that one mistake at the end happens.
Well, I definitely say, before, when you get in your head, it's kind of hard to get out of it. And a couple of her first flips, she had a kind of uneasy landing, but she could have gotten her head after that.
And Darby Nelson right now, you saw her really try to hold on to that beam and stay on it. Like you kind of said earlier, the floor kind of fix those, not so much on the beam. We'll see if she can recover and eventually, push that one aside as she continues to go on the beam. We do have our first score on the beam. Lauren Jost with a 9.675 for Pennsylvania.
A great backflip there.
Yeah, she's definitely recovered well after that early misstep. Kind of with the same distance as we saw, I believe it was Allison Bell earlier for the Redhawks, kind of just jumping off the side, not building the momentum, just kind of going straight flat-footed off the side like that.
I believe that's probably a really awful position to land in, but she did a really good job at that, maintaining her balance, not falling over.
Right, and you have to get yourself away from the beam itself, because if you jump too close, you may end up hitting it, and that could definitely cause some issues there. Michael Sanders is next to go on the floor for the Redhawks. Sanders averaging an 8.353 on the floor this season, her season high with a 9.250. And Noel, I talked about earlier on how the Redhawks at home, you kind of tend to get the crowd a little bit more into it. I know it's any home meet. On the floor, you can kind of do that because you have the music accompanying the performance a little bit more. Sanders doing that a little bit more so than we saw Tran in the early going.
Well, I think also with the help of the music, it kind of helps you to hype it up on the floor. And then your teammates are cheering you on. I know when I'm in my room, I'm just listening to music. I'm pretty hyped up. So I can definitely see how it can be helpful.
So we were definitely, here during warm-up, so the music was blaring, and there you go, the air drums right there from Michael Sanders. Definitely something to, accompany with that music.
That was a great performance by her.
Their teammates reacting as if as well. She's hit just over average each of the past 3 times out, so we'll see how this score goes for her.
Well, for what I remember, any other time she's at home, she kind of does struggle on the floor. So I definitely see a huge improvement.
The improvement is all you can really ask for. I have a young team, especially like the Red Hawks. As we're back over onto the beam now, Darcy Matsuda. While you're watching Matsuda dismount off of the beam, we did a couple of updates here for you. Darby Nelson scored an 8.975 on the floor, on the beam rather, for Pennsylvania. And Maya Tran with an 8.250. Like we said, very inexperienced on the floor this season at least. For Tran as their one and only score this season on the floor. So a little bit of rough ending for Tran earlier. And it ends up with an 8.250. We do go back over the floor now for Allison Bell, who is set to go for Southeast.
Well, for Darcy Matsuda just now on the beam, it looked like she didn't even put much effort on there. She didn't really lose her balance much. It was a great dismount.
It felt very quick.
Yeah.
I agree. It felt like she wasn't on there for very long. I mean, I'm sure in real time it was, but it didn't feel like she was on there for that long compared to some of the other competitors. And that could be by design. The least amount of time you're up there, the less time to make mistakes.
Yes.
I've never messed up on a balance beam. I've also never been on a balance beam. So now Allison Bell heads onto the floor for the Red Hawks. She averages 9.419 with a season high of 9.550. There's a lot of height on that jump for Bell. And that was Allison Bell on the floor for the Red Hawks. We do have a couple scores for you now. Michael Sanders setting a new season high with a 9.425 on the floor for the Red Hawks. A great round there for Sanders. Also, we have an update for you on the Pennsylvania side of things on the beam, where Darcy Matsuda scored a 9.700, the second best score of the evening. As this is Nicole Swerbelis. Swerveless with a unfortunate ending to that round. Not a happy ending for Swerveless coming off that beam. You can see it in her face, so she's a little frustrated.
Yeah, I think it was definitely not the best ending, but I think she had a definitely graceful routine. She didn't mess up on the beam at all. It was just, not a clean landing.
I agree entirely, and that's going to be extremely frustrating when you feel like you're killing it, and you get to the end, and you have something like that happen. Now back over to the floor for the Red Hawks, Alana Fisher for Southeast. Fisher averages 9.138 for a season high at 9.550 on the floor. A whole chain of moves there by Fisher. That was Alana Fisher fired up at the end of the floor. And I believe I saw during her routine in the corner at 9.100 for Nicole Swerveless. We will have that official later on. We can confirm that. But back over to the beam now. And this is Natalie Yang, her first time out tonight. Yang has only competed on the beam this season, and her season high is a 9.850, which just ironically, Noel, that happens to be Annika Ziska's score for the evening, which is the high. So her high is the high for the night. So we will see if she can make a shot here.
Well, so far she's doing a great job on the beam. Just how like Nicole was, she's definitely having a smooth run right now. She hasn't really felt, she hasn't had any kind of shakiness on the beam. Pretty grateful.
Yeah, and like I said, the fact that Swerveless ended up with a 9.100 kind of showed me how good she was until that ending.
Great dismount.
Yeah, absolutely nailed that corkscrew ending there, landing on the feet.
You can see her teammates and both of them know that she did a great job.
Yeah, you always know you did well when your entire team swarms all around you like that. That's usually an indicator. They know what they're doing out there. They're not going to do that, then you end up with a 7. So back over to the floor now, Mackenzie Slee on the floor for Southeast. Slee averages 9.663 on the floor. Her season high is at 9.800. Well, that was Mackenzie Slee on the floor for Southeast. We got a couple updates from the floor. The Redhawks, Allison Bells with a 9.525 on the floor, and Alana Fisher with a 9.675, which is good enough only for third, even though it's a very strong score. Back over on the floor, or on the beam rather now, Caroline Moore, the final competitor of the evening on the beam.
Well, from what I've seen, I definitely think this is UPenn's strongest event. They seem to have such grace and just balance on the beam. They don't really fall much. They might have a unsuccessful landing, but as far as how they move on the beam, they're amazing.
And speaking of somebody being amazing on that beam, Natalie Gang setting a new career high in taking the event title, at least for now, with a 9.875, just beating out Annika Ziska. The dismount by Caroline Moore, and once again you see the teammates rushing over. That meant good things for Yang, could mean good things for Moore as well.
Now on floor for Southeast Missouri State, Anna Kaziska.
Now Anna Kaziska will be on the floor for the Redhawks, the final competitor of the evening. That was Anna Kaziska for the Redhawks. And we do have a couple scores for you to wrap things up here as we head towards the end. Caroline Moore, who was the last competitor for Pennsylvania. This score will not count for Graves right now on the beam. Caroline Moore had a 9.800, and Mackenzie Slee, who went for the Redhawks before Anna Kaziska, with a 9.775 and takes the lead of the event title.
I kind of see what you said before, how UPenn has a different approach on the floor. You know, UPenn's not as flippy.
Yeah.
And I can see it. SEMO takes the approach. They definitely take advantage of them able to do flips. And they're less choreographed, less graceful, but it works for them.
Yeah, the Redhawks is definitely more of a fast-paced floor routine for sure as well. Yeah, it's very flippy. The Redhawks like to fly on the floor, that's for sure. And yeah, because this guy really Slee both are really two of the main ones for the Redhawks in that regard. I would say Fisher as well. Very much, Fisher has a lot of energy for the Redhawks. Didn't quite see it as much tonight for her for Southeast on the floor. That definitely is the case. We will see what the final score ends up being for Kaziska yet on the floor. That one is yet to come in.
Well, overall for both teams, I think both teams had a pretty rocky start. They started in the offense that neither of them are really strong in. and they were able to finish in two events that they are very strong in. So we're going to see how this turns out.
And I think, I believe at this moment at 191.900, I believe that is a final for Pennsylvania. That is about a little, just under 4/10 of a point below their season average. So a little bit of a disappointing night for Pennsylvania in that regard. SEMO, I believe, still has the inconsistent score yet to come in, and it's looking like they will set a new season high. Their season high to this point is 189.800. Obviously, because this has scored more than a 2, so at that point they will then have passed that number again. We're going to wait until we get that score official. Then we do now have that score to be official for Kaziska with a 9.850 for Anna Kaziska, so she takes the event title. The Redhawks do only gain a couple points off of that, though. I forgot that they dropped the lowest score. So the Redhawks' final score is a 188.875. So they will drop the lead. Once you have those scores all finalized and official, we will bring that to you on the OBC Digital Network. That will be here in just a little bit. They take a little bit of time to confirm all those scores. So that will be here in just a moment, but it appears as though the Redhawks will drop this one, and they'll fall to, I believe, 0-14 on the season. Yeah, and Pennsylvania would improve to 10-8 on the year, so that'd be a good win for Pennsylvania. For the Redhawks, you got to take it when you can get it with a new, close to the season high score there. It'd be their best score they've had since their third meet of the season. And that's definitely an improvement, definitely something you want to see if you are the Redhawks. And for a young team moving forward, that's all you can really ask for, is continue to improve, continue to get better, heading into a couple of big meets here down the end of the schedule.
Although their record might not show it, there definitely is growth in SEMO. Like you said before, we both talked about it, that they're a new team, a new coach, there's a new staff, so they have to get ready, they have to learn with each other.
And one of those people that build around definitely is Anna Kaziska. You see her here winning the floor title as she wraps up her floor routine on that replay. And now the Redhawks, as we've gotten accustomed. And now we will do the event champions as well as the team. We will wait for the announcements.
Third place with a score of 9.625 from the University of Pennsylvania, Lauren Jost. In second place with a score of 9.7 from Southeast Missouri State, Gabrielle Adams. Our all champion with a score of 9.725 from the University of Pennsylvania, Sydney Craze.
So Sydney Craze with a 9.725, picking up the vault title.
Second place with a 9.7 from the University of Pennsylvania, Lily Garwood. And from Southeast Missouri State, Anna Kaziska. Your North champion with a score of 9.775 from the University of Pennsylvania, Jordan Menino.
Jordan Menino taking the bars title as well for Pennsylvania at 9.775.
In second place on a score of 9.8 from Southeast Missouri State, Anna Kaziska.
And the second time with them calling her name. It's not a name that you hear very often.
We'll hear it one more time. Well, as Natalie Yang wins the event title on the beam with a 9.875, so 3 event titles for Pennsylvania.
From Southeast Missouri State, Mackenzie Swain. And your floor champion with a score of 9.85 from Southeast Missouri State, Anna Kaziska.
There you go, Anna Kaziska winning the floor title, the only event title for the Redhawks, a 9.850. Now the all-around will be 3 Redhawks, 0 Pennsylvania competitors were all around tonight.
Michael Sanders.
Kosciuszko wins yet another all-around title, 38.500.
Best team for Southeast Missouri State, 188.875. For the University of Pennsylvania, 191.9.
And there you have it. Pennsylvania picking up the win, 191.900. They improved to 10-8 on the season. Southeast Missouri State with a 188.875. And that'll be a wrap for us on the OVC Digital Network this season. Thank you for joining us from Matt Mormon and Noel Williams. Thank you for joining us on the OVC Digital Network.